A lot of people will get into programming, learn an entire programming language, watch tutorials, make projects, and then they'll somehow, over a period of time, forget what they just learned. Isn't that interesting? Now, after they forget that, they'll learn the programming language again, they'll watch tutorials again, and then they'll make projects again, and then they'll forget. And then the same cycle keeps keeps repeating for like a year, 2 years, 3 years. I was at that position when I was just starting programming like 5 years ago. Alright. 5 years ago, long time. I wasn't really that into it. But then once I did get into it, I was just learning like a lot of stuff. I was learning Python, I was learning JavaScript, I was learning HTML, I was learning CSS, I was learning like C Sharp, .NET. I was learning so many technologies, I was watching so many tutorials that I forgot like the essence. Like there's an essence when you just master something and you just that's just a one thing that you're gonna focus on and that you're gonna master. I I didn't have that. I actually learned a lot of things and ended up remembering very few. Like let's say I learned five new things someday and I'll remember only one. So why not? And then I'd end up forgetting that one after a week. So instead what I tried is I learned one programming language, one niche. Now I'm not just saying okay, learn Python fully and focus on that, you will remember everything. No, that's not how it works. What I'm talking about is if you're going to learn Python, then do it in a way that you can watch a tutorial, implement the tutorial, make a project, and then be consistent with that area inside Python. What do I mean? Let's say you wanted to learn data science in Python. So you decided that you're going to learn, like there's a library called pandas which is used for dataset manipulation. So you learn pandas and then you learn NumPy. Okay, now you learn two things. And then you watch tutorials, you made like a nice little project like basic machine learning algorithms for cancer analysis, etc., etc., right? You made this small project, so now you feel like you know everything, and after a week, it's all fading away. How do you prevent that? What you can do is once you've learned NumPy or Pandas or anything, just be consistent by remembering the knowledge that you've learned, which you can do by making even more projects, even more practice. Okay, you just need practice, and I can't stress this enough because without practice, you are going to forget what you've learned. Okay, you will forget it, and there's no going back. There is a going back, but then you have to watch the tutorial again, you have to make the project again to put everything back inside of your memory. So once you learn, let's say pandas and NumPy, to not forget it, I would say make at least 5 projects within a time frame of a week. Everybody has that amount of time. Like it's not gonna take a long amount of time to make 5 projects. 5 projects is like nothing. Because since you're a beginner, right? It's not a lot. It's just 5 projects. So just do 5 projects in 1 week. And then the next step would be to learn something more advanced than pandas and NumPy. Just learn like Okay, so you know all the basics of pandas, you know all the basics of NumPy. Now, why don't you learn how to implement pandas and NumPy in another technology so that you use the basics that you learned over here in pandas and NumPy in something like machine learning, data set analysis, data science. Why don't you use pandas and NumPy over here in a more advanced field over here? Why don't you try that? Okay, and now once you've went to this advanced field over here by learning the previous basic knowledge, why don't you progress from over here to over here? Now this sort of progression just makes it almost impossible for your brain to forget that what you learned. Your brain just sort of remembers what you've done before, how it links to the new technology that you've just learned, and the next new advanced technology that you just learned, and then it keeps going on, right? So that way you don't forget what you're learning. Now this is a very effective way of doing it, and then you can retain all your knowledge as long as you're progressing, right? What the biggest mistake new programmers make is that they learn a new technology, they forget it, so they learn it again. So they're staying at this sort of plateau, they're just staying at the same level. What they forget to do is just level up, keep leveling up. And let's say even if you forgot what pandas was, what NumPy was, fine, watch the tutorial once again, but then don't just watch the tutorial and leave it, right? Don't just do that. Level up. Watch the tutorial, make an advanced project, like just one level up, use something like data science and machine learning, implement what you just learned in the advanced topic, so that now you remember how the basic knowledge links to the advanced knowledge. And this is applicable for almost all the programming languages like C Sharp, .NET. I mean, C Sharp, .NET is a lot in use right now, but Python is, of course, the best for AI, data science, etc. etc. So just try and do that. And once you've done that, then you can try to move on to another programming language. Now, look, moving on to another programming language can be a bit difficult, but once you are very mastered, now what do I mean by mastered? Mastered means knowing all advanced concepts of a programming language, all the advanced libraries of a programming language. That's what mastering means. That's literally it. Mastering. Okay? So for, let's say, Python, it would be the basics and then some intermediate stuff like classes, object-oriented programming, and then in the advanced you'll get like some libraries, NumPy, pandas, etc. And then in the very master level, you'll get like neural networks, you get RNNs, and then convolutional neural networks. So everything about it. So you see how you progress towards this mastery. Once you think that you've reached it, once you think that you've done that, then you can move on to a new technology, right? Now, before you make the switch, make a sort of have it in your mind that when you're going to use the skills you had in Python, and when you're going to use the skills you had in the when this when you're going to use the skills that you're just going to develop in the new programming language. Because, for example, I was very into C Sharp.net 3 years ago, and then I moved on to Python, and then I sort of forgot, like, I only remember the syntax of C Sharp.net and how to sort of just the basic design of, let's say, an application. I just remember that, but I had made way more advanced stuff. and I just forgot all about it because I put my entire focus on Python, right? Don't make the mistake I made here. What I did was I just completely neglected the old technology that I've learned, all the hours of YouTube videos, all the hours of learning bug fixing that I've done before. I just sort of put that away, and that's now all gone to waste. How to avoid that? Again, this would be a question of consistency. How consistently are you using the programming language that you've learned before, the technology that you've learned before? Now, that is why it is very important to decide which ones are really going to benefit you in the long run, right? So, only learn the programming languages that are really in an uptrend in a market, in the technology market, that you know are going to be in use for a long period of time and will not be suddenly like overtaken by some other programming language or by some other technology, right? So you need to be thinking long term. Whenever you're learning a new programming language, think where you're going to be with that skill in the next 5 years, right? In the next 5 years, where you're going to be with that skill. And the reason why I'm telling you to learn more than one is because in today's day and age, you cannot escape the fact that you are just required to know a lot about tech, because there you're gonna find tons of guys who have who know three programming languages, 11 years experience, master's degrees, etc. Right, all these very skilled workers. Then your value in the job market is very low if you know only one programming language. I literally dare you to just go on LinkedIn, search whatever job it is. Let's say you search data science. In each of the descriptions, you'll find that, okay, data science requires Python, SQL, R. Like, I've already named like three technologies for one job description, right? And it's become very complicated because back then it just used to be okay, everyone's just working with one programming language. It's just all like hoo like that. But now it's not like that, right? Because now we have developed complex systems that actually require you to be very skilled in all areas. I don't mean like all the areas, but the areas that a company would require, that a business would require. Okay, you that is why it is very important to learn a second technology. Now, what can this second technology be? My suggestion would be to go with something that suits, that sort of ties in with the technology that you just learned before. So what happens then is you can use both of them together, and this way you'll not forget this technology, and then you'll practice this new technology, right? So you just have to, it's just about the remembrance, the consistency with which you practice your skills is going to make you very valuable in the market, because it makes you remember all of the knowledge that you've learned, and that just puts you in a better place than all the others in the market. Now, that was about it for this video. Please like, share, and subscribe. See ya.